There's a realization that hits almost every highly successful person I treat, that all the wealth in the world doesn't mean anything if you don't have the health span to actually enjoy it. So longevity's become a priority, made even more popular by Peter Attia's book Outlive. The ultimate currency isn't money, it's your cardiovascular reserve. And the single greatest predictor of how long and how well you're going to live is a number you can't buy. It's called your VO2 max. Let's dive in. First, is it a legit metric? Absolutely. The landmark study by Myers in 2002 showed that for every 1 MET increase in exercise capacity, survival would improve by 12% amongst normal people or patients with cardiovascular disease. Then in 2018, Mansager confirmed this, showing that there was no ceiling effect and that elite athletes had an 80% lower risk of mortality than the low fitness group, amongst men or women. It's no wonder it's such a powerful metric when you look at all the factors that contribute to it. Wasserman, one of the grandfathers of the field, showed that your lungs, heart, and muscles are all contributing, and it's been analyzed in great detail over the past few decades. Even at rest, your lungs are bringing in oxygen for your heart to pump around to your body, your muscles turn it into energy and make byproducts that are excreted by your lungs when you exhale. And when you exercise, the heart rate increases, stroke volume of each heartbeat increases, your muscles extract dramatically more energy and produce a lot more byproducts that we can measure in the oxygen consumption. Even indexed for body size, it tends to run higher in men than women, and it decreases with age. But you can get a sense of your fitness by looking up your number on the tables. Through vigorous training in people that have won the genetic lottery, elite athletes can develop and produce VO2 maxes of 90 cc's per kilogram per minute, with the highest ever recorded by Norwegian cyclist Oskar Svensson at 97.5. Tade's early coach, Inigo San Milan, has since moved to Boulder to do research on subjects with metabolic syndrome, and he's taught us a ton about this metric in disease, not just athletes. Aerobic metabolism is highly efficient. It can produce 36 to 38 ATP molecules for every single molecule of glucose. That's like 15 to 20 times more efficient than anaerobic metabolism. And even though it's slow to produce this energy, it can use fats and proteins as well as carbohydrates to produce the energy, and this can be sustained for a long time. This energy system is predominantly used for endurance activities like slow jogging, whereas anaerobic metabolism can produce energy without oxygen 100 times faster than aerobic metabolism, but it's much less efficient, yielding only 2 ATP per glucose molecule. It produces lactate, causing that muscle burn and puts you into oxygen debt. So as we turn up exercise intensity, we go from the more efficient fat-burning aerobic mode to the quicker but less efficient anaerobic mode, burning glucose. San Milan and Brooks and Boulder showed us that as we increase power output, we go from fat burning to carbohydrate burning and produce lactic acid. But comparing elite athletes that cross over at 300 watts of power, trained athletes start to cross over around 150 watts, and people with metabolic syndrome or diabetes have already crossed over just sitting on the couch. The Norwegian coaches were some of the first to realize that slowing down and spending a lot more time in the easy, low-intensity endurance zone could really boost fitness dramatically. In fact, a combination of both seems ideal. Training in those extremes is called polarized training, but even with pyramidal training, it seems best to spend most of your time in the lower intensity ranges. So the ideal combination seems to include spending about 70 or 80% of your time in the easy zone 2 intensity with 1 or 2 days of high intensity intervals for 3, 4, 5 minutes at a time with rest in between, and weights or resistance training 1 or 2 days a week. But to optimize your training time, get a baseline measurement of your VO2 max at high desert, where we'll measure not only your VO2 max accurately with O2 and CO2 sensors, but we'll also find your crossover point where your fat max metabolism is, so you can determine your training zones and optimize the time you spend exercising, and get the greatest benefit out of the time you spend training. I'm Dr. David Hinchman, cardiologist and co-founder of High Desert Heart and Vascular, with this cardio clip.